Hi, this is Doug Johnson with JesusHasAPlan.com. Thanks for stopping by. Hope you enjoy this video. Today we're going to start talking about money. So Matthew, we've been in the book of Matthew, talking about what Jesus did. We have been talking Matthew 5, 6, and we're going into 7 about the Sermon on the Mount, where Jesus takes the time to explain the Ten Commandments. Those Ten Commandments are found in Exodus chapter 20. We've been talking about prayer, but now we're going to talk about heaven. And this is going to start with Matthew 6:19. Let me read these verses to you. It says, "Lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth, where moth and rust does corrupt, and where thieves break through and steal. But lay up for yourselves treasures in heaven, where neither moth nor rust corrupts, and where thieves do not break through and steal. Where your treasure is, there will your heart be also. The lamp of the body is the eye, and therefore your eye, if your eye is healthy, then your whole body should be healthy and full of light. But if your eye is evil, then the whole body will be full of darkness. If therefore the light that is in thee is darkness, how great is that darkness?" Isn't that interesting that as Jesus is talking about treasure, he talks about the light in our life? So let's take this apart. Let's talk about this a little bit. First of all, the first thing he says, lay not up for yourselves treasures on earth. Does that mean you're not supposed to have a savings account? That's not what that means. God wants us to be wise in our financial planning. So, we have our IRA program, we have all of those things. We plan for retirement. But our focus is not to be on our treasures on earth, on the things that we have. In other words, we have those things, but they don't have us. So it's great to drive a nice car, but as soon as you drive that car off of the parking lot and you buy it, it starts to depreciate. If it's one of those fancy cars, Aston Martin or a Ferrari or something like that, it may not depreciate as much, but it still depreciates. That's number one. Number two, you can't really drive those cars anywhere. Why? Because if somebody bumps into you and you're driving a $200,000 or $300,000 car, and there's some cars that are even $1 million, Bugatti is $1 million. If somebody bumps into that, oh my goodness. So what do? You park it in your garage and you put a security system in your garage, or let's say that you have jewelry, you put it in a safe. There's been people that have been they wear a nice watch or they wear a nice ring, and they've been mugged going to a party, and those things have been taken from them. What we need to do is we need to live our life in such a way that those things, even if you have, and there's nothing wrong with having those nice things. That's not the point of this. The point is, why should you accumulate all of these things? There is a phrase in the movie Wall Street, right there at the end, where Charlie Sheen says to Michael Douglas, how many yachts can you ski behind? And that's the point. How many watches do you really need? How many pairs of shoes? You name it. How many of whatever it is, the clothes, houses. Is it wrong for you to have these things? It's not wrong. What's wrong is that becomes your life, and that's all you care about, to the point where you don't care about people. We could really expand on this, but I think you get what I'm talking about. But then what's interesting is that as Jesus gets through this passage talking about these assets that we might accumulate on earth, and he talks about how, one point I want to make is there's not a U-Haul hooked up to a hearse. You can't take it with you. But if you do something for the Lord and you give money, or you give time, or you give effort, God remembers those things. That is what it means to lay up treasures in heaven. Well, then he talks about your eyes and what you, if you, there's no light in your body. In other words, it's what Jesus is alluding to here is these things can become so important to you that darkness fills your life. I mean, think about Howard Hughes. When he passed away, he was living in a dark room, wouldn't let anybody come in and talk to him, but he had millions and millions and millions of dollars. See, that's not what God wants us to do. God wants us to live a life of generosity. He wants us to live a life of giving, a life of happiness and joy. And we do that by giving. That's why he wants us to first, when we get our paycheck, give him 10%. Because that is saying to us, to our friends around us, to the world that watches us, the first thing that's important in my life is God, and I'm going to give him 10%. And then God helps you with the other things. Your 90% will do more than other people's 100%. Why? Because God will help you be wise with your money. And he'll fill your life with his light, not with the darkness that's talked about in this passage. You know, Jesus wants to have a relationship with you. He wants to be your friend. There's a link below this video that talks about how to do that. And what I would ask is that you go there and see how to get started with a relationship with Jesus. It's free. Doesn't cost you a thing. But God wants to have a relationship with you. This is Doug Johnson with JesusHasAPlan.com. Thanks for stopping by, and I hope you're having a great day.